This is a special report short. Roll the
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Welcome. I want to do a breakdown. This is what the right ideology basically is. I want you to hear what these guys are saying, and we're going to break it down because we are the generation. We're not the Pepsi generation, but many of us are the generation that has come after the establishment of the nation of Israel. And because this is Christmas time and this is quite pertinent. So let's check this out.
Jews and Orthodox Christians believe describe that there would be a certain generation, a set of time, in the lifetime of a group of people, Sid, in which a series of prophecies, predictions would come to pass. They included the rebirth of the nation Israel, the revival of the ancient Roman Empire, which we see happening in Europe.
Now, we can stop it right there. It's not Europe we see this in. It's the whole Western world. The whole concept of centralized government is based upon the Roman statute of law. And at this state of the game, even their morality. As we come up to the new month, next January, actually New Year too, and COPA comes into effect, you're going to notice a dramatic change in programming, not just on YouTube, but all platforms, because that's a federal law, an imperial law, because we live in an empire, y'all. You know, this isn't a democracy, which I'm adamantly against, nor is it a republic, which I am totally for. Let's continue.
I had to ask you a question, though. To be quite candid with you, most people are not too sure that the Bible is from God. At best, most people feel it's fables to keep people in line.
Hey, I don't agree. And I don't agree for this reason. I've studied the religious literature of the world. There's a total difference between the Bible and other religious literature. And here's one way that they're different. Every other species of religious literature does not contain detailed prophecy, for the very good reason that.
And he's going to go on and say basically those other religious systems doesn't have the qualifications to tell the future. But listen to him.
No one as a human alone can possibly predict tomorrow's events.
So we don't have weather people. No, seriously. I mean, this type of mindset is dangerous, y'all. Because it feeds off into the ideal that you cannot critically think. Prediction is nothing more than critically thinking based upon correct information. If you have the correct information, then you can totally figure out what's going to happen in the future. Because all of the pieces of the puzzles will fit together. But listen to him reinforce this ideal. Basically, a blind faith.
No New Age psychic dares predict the outcome in detail of a football game tomorrow, because the odds are over 5,000 to 1 you would be wrong guessing the exact scores.
Okay, well, maybe a New Age psychic doesn't do that, but what about someone like a Nostradamus? He's predicted things, and what...
And this interviewer guy, this is a straw man. He just threw a boy a soft pitch so he can rip it up and point out how Nostradamus basically writes vaguely. And it's really, once again, it goes back to this sensation or this notion that there's truly only one way. Everything else is make-believe or pretend. And this is a fundamental division that no one wants to talk about. But if all are free, when all are truly free, there cannot be none left behind. There cannot be none feeling as if they are somehow segregated from the rest of humanity. Not just in this life, but in the so-called afterlife to come. These types of divisions, one is not born with, one is definitely taught and raised to believe these ideals and concepts. Let's continue.
When I've heard they've all come true.
No, they haven't. People have stated that they've come true after the fact by reinterpreting what he wrote. He wrote in French in the most...
But isn't that how you check and make sure a prophecy actually comes? I mean, you can't check the validity of a prophecy before the event or whatever happens. So everything has to be done in retrospect. I don't understand why he even led off the argument like that. Let's continue.
Really an unusual grammar, the most unusual language in a poetic form possible. For example, today you will hear people write books where they'll say that Nostradamus in 1555 predicted Adolf Hitler as the dictator of Germany. He did no such thing. What he did is he wrote a prophecy about Isler, and this Isler is so vague in his prophetic quatrain that you can't even tell whether it's a river or a man. And I have a book from 1930, before Hitler ever rose.
Now, that is not quite accurate. Hitler was actually engaged in, I think, the beer hall activities back in the late 20s. So, yes, he might not have been the chancellor and later the Führer of Germany, which is odd because that's actually the plot to Star Wars, isn't it? I mean, not to break, train of thought here, but Emperor Palpatine became a chancellor and then he destroyed the Republic. Just like Hitler did. And you watching a new movie, you find out that he's alive as well. What is Star Wars trying to tell us? Let's continue.
And it states that he was predicting the course of the river Isler in Germany. Only after the fact, Sid.
Wait a second now. You're talking Nostradamus. He had just vague, abstract type things, and people are looking. But that's what a lot of people say about the Bible. You guys take some abstracts and make people think it's absolute predictions.
Well, I believe that if you examine the Bible, even a group of educated teenagers, and ask them, what does this prophet really say?
That was a little condescending to teenagers.
That the vast majority of them would agree that the prophets really do describe specific things. For example, the Bible clearly says that the nation Israel would be reborn. It clearly describes that there would be a revival of the Roman Empire invoking 10 nations in the last days. One of the most amazing, Sid, is the prophet Zephaniah, 25 centuries ago, predicted that God would restore unto the Jews a pure language, Hebrew. Now, no ancient nation ever lost its language and ever recovered it. Yet, in our generation, a man by the name of Eleazar ben Yehuda in Israel literally took this dead language of 7,000 words and started creating new words for airplane and fountain pen and machine gun. Today, millions of Jews in Israel speak Hebrew, the language of the Bible. This is an extraordinary prophecy, but there's one even more amazing. The Bible tells us in the book of Revelation
But I thought the Bible was written in Greek and Latin. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyhow, I wanted to share this little bit of information with you to let you know this is the fundamental ideology of a so-called conservative or right-wing or Christian political individual. And it's rooted in fear, and it's rooted in fulfillment of prophecy, the fear of God and the prophecy. The one thing that cannot happen would be the state of Israel being wiped off the map. That cannot happen because that would shatter people's faith. Thank you for watching.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching the video. This is True Power is Mine. As always, live your life with integrity, without hate, without envy, and or greed. Peace. Also, support me on Patreon. Patreon.com/join/True Power is Mine. I'm out of here.